what we're going to go through tonight is the onboarding, the setting up of Client Engager, because it's a big topic that everyone says, "Oh, how do you recommend we do this? What order should we do it all in?" So I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks now as to what order should we do it all in, what works, what doesn't, what's the most efficient way. So I'm going to try and take you through my recommendations and see if that helps, basically. Um, because there is a lot you can do with Client Engager. So it's really important that we get to the point where we understand roughly what we need to do first. And it's really down to what you want to achieve out of it first. So, if you want to use it as a proposal tool, first of all, then obviously you need to focus on pricing and getting all that set up. But if the bit you're more concerned about is the deadlines, then we need to get all your clients on there, get all their services turned on, and get the deadline sorted without worrying about setting all the pricing up. Um, so we will go through what I would recommend as the what I think is the most efficient way of doing it, and then we'll go from there. So we will crack on with that. So let me bring up Client Engage onto the screen. Okay, so I think my first tip is to go through the settings and do this in order because there is some sense to the orders. Um, so you can't do anything unless your practice is set up properly on the system with the practice details. So it's really important to go through this bit first, deciding what information is going to be visible in the client portal, on the homepage, on letters of engagement and stuff. Is all really important. Um, you know, Setting up your core values. I've seen some fantastic core values recently going through. Um, and yeah, so get that bit first, and then just work through each of these tabs one by one. So on this tab, we've got to set, who's our default director and who's our default manager. What are our payment terms? What's our charge for late payment? Who's our data protection officer? Who do they have to email for data protection? What are the notification days? Number of years held, etc. Then we need to list all the softwares we're using. So, you know, I've just had to add auto entry onto this because we've now started using auto entry. So we just need to add auto entry. Um, so basically, getting this set up next is important so that you've got the right data protection policy in place. Then we want to yes. Then we want to decide what our documents are going to look like. So, are we using the logo or the company name? What size do we want the logo? Do we want it left, center, or right? Um, and then what information do we want on the footer? What do we want to call the cover pages of our disengagement letters, etc.? Um, then we can go through our templates. Now, if you're not planning on issuing letters of engagement straight away, skip this page and come back to it later. If deadlines and workflow is more important to you, then come back to this one. Just make a note that you've not done this before you do go and do your letter of engagement. If your focus is to speed up your onboarding, though, you will also want to make sure you've sorted your professional letter of clearance out. Go through what services need to be on for this bit to apply, and go through all of this. If you're a one-man band or a couple of people, you don't have departments, then fine, skip departments. If you're a bigger firm, you might want to turn departments on and set those up. Then add your users because they can be helping you set up. And remember, when you add a user now, you can email them the link, which means they can set their own password. So you don't have to do it anymore yourself. Then the important choice, chilies or exclamation marks. Chilies or exclamation marks for your priorities. I have had to bow down to peer pressure from my team, and we have turned on chilies as our prioritization mode. It it hurts me to say it, but we are now using chilies on our deadlines board because my staff have personality, and apparently I'm really dull and boring for not wanting to use chilies. So then the next one is services. So if your core goal here is to get your deadlines up and running, then you need to go through and get all your services set up. Now, to what level you do this is up to you again, because if you go in and uh, create a, if we go into this service here, if you're not going to worry about the pricing and elements stuff yet, then skip the pricing part. Let's just get the frequencies and the internal deadlines automation set and the phases set so you can work your workflows out and who's going to be assigned to them. Um, because that will then mean you can come back and do the pricing a bit later. That's not an issue. And also, like at this point, you don't need to worry about auto reminders and status update templates and stuff. That can come all at a later date. If you're trying to manage your workload, then the deadlines is the key. That's getting those services and dates set. Yes, it's nice to have the status updates and the auto reminders, but that might not be your priority now. So save some time on the initial setup and come back and do that later. So that you can display information how you want to display it on your dashboard and widgets and on drop downs in the Kanban board and stuff. Set up your service groups so you can see the information of what's overdue where. If you're going to use checklists, then start building out your checklists as well because they need to be ready to go with the deadlines. If you're not too worried about checklists at the moment, then skip this stage. Notifications. This is one that quite a lot of people miss, but if you want someone to be informed every time a notification happens for a reason, so for example, there's an admin that you want to know, be notified every time someone signs a disengagement letter, and that comes up on the notification bit, then you can add the admin there. So you can just go down, choose the person, and what we're saying here is the director, the manager, the principal admin, and John Smith will be notified every time a notification happens. Okay, then go into your built-in forms field and add if there's any client types you want to add onto here or add any records locations. So for example, auto entry is not on here, so we'll get that added on today. Custom form fields. Now, again, if you're going to do the pricing bit later, leave most of these. But if there's pricing, if there's information that you want to store on client engage and we don't have a set field for it already, then get that added on now. Get that in there so you're not coming back and filling it out later for a client. So we've got like marketing source, trade, customer ID, client review, Trustpilot review, and stuff. So yeah, just build out as many of these as you need to store the information you're looking for. And remember, every placeholder you now create creates every custom field you create creates a placeholder for your emails. There's nothing to do in the company house update bit, assuming it's blank and there's nothing to do. And at this point, this is the point when you want to potentially import your clients. So I've seen a lot of people importing clients and then setting things up and then having to go back and do stuff to clients. So if you get all your services and stuff set up first, it's a lot easier to then go, once you've imported your clients, turn everything on in bulk. Then you can start working on your communication, the email templates, etc. You can start getting your portals set up and you can start integrating your systems. So that would be my first step is go down the order of the settings, skip the bits if they're related to areas you're not interested in just now. But if you do it in this order, that will be a lot easier for you. So once you've imported your clients, then you can start turning services on. So you can select all your clients, for example, go to bulk editing, choose the client service, choose the service that you're going to do some work on, so VAT, choose the form field, and we'll go for enable, on hold, or dissolve. And I can turn on enable. I'm not going to do that now, but that's the bulk editing is the easiest way to get everything on for everyone as quickly as possible. Once you've done that and you've enabled services and you might have enabled service dates as well, if you want to save a bit of time, leave the confirmation dates, leave the annual accounts for limited company dates alone because they will auto populate overnight with company's house. So that's not that, there's no point in wasting an hour or two entering all that information when it will auto populate the next night for you. And then it's all about syncing these clients with your other databases to make sure you've got the right information. So if I come off this and go to Engager, what I can then do is I can go into like each client. I can go to my external systems, and we'll assume this was unlinked, and then I can click into here, link it with Xama. Now, if this client didn't exist on Xama and I couldn't find it in, just ignore the authorization parts because I've changed my codes. So if I couldn't find it in linking existing client, just click create new, press confirm, and that will automatically take all the information you've got in Client Engager already and put it into Xama. So that's a bit of a shorter cut. Rather than putting everything into Xama, which doesn't automatically come through, then you import it all into Client Engager, and then you link them. You're quicker if you import everything into Client Engager, if you're new to Xama as well, and then go through and click create a new link, and that will create it, and that will push all that information through to Xama. So you don't have to do any importing or anything in Xama. It's already all there ready for you to move on and use. And then it's just a case of going through each client and making sure you've filled out as much information. Now, this is going to be so much simpler at the end of this month when we launch forms, because you can send that onboarding form and it could ask the client all of these questions, all of these areas, including things like tax references and stuff. And it will fill out all that information for you once the client's put it onto the form, because that will all come back into Client Engager. And then once you've got all your client information in and you've turned on all the services, I bet Peter's just done an update. We found a bug, so Peter's rolling out a quick update to fix the bug, which means I'm logged out. There we go, I'm back in. So once you've turned on all the services and the pricing, services and the detail for the deadlines, that's when your deadlines is now up and running. So you can now run and manage your workload through this. So yeah, that would be my initial order, basically. It's a topic that we've spoken about quite a few times with lots of people, and lots of questions come up in the Facebook group of which order should I do things. But basically, settings, go through all of this list in order. Then as part of that list, you're importing all your clients. Go into clients, use the bulk editing tool, so you can bulk edit the information you need to. Then by that point, you'll have all your deadlines populated, so you can start working from Client Engager straight away. And then you can go and backfill some more information in here. So I've recently just done an acquisition where we've got 90 new clients coming on board. So I've just been in and put all their details in, like quick upload. It's going to sync tonight with Company's House, pull all that information in. I'll go through tomorrow. I've put a field in there so I know which ones have come in from this upload. I can filter all that out. I can select them all, and I can start doing my bulk service adding and dates and stuff from there. So it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, so that'll be my recommended starting point. Then come on to the niceties like the pricing matrix and the automated emails and the form setup and the documents and stuff. That's all great, but you don't need that to get on with it with day one. If your goal is to have a practice software that is telling you what deadlines are due when, that's when to do it.